Hello, hello, and welcome to another ohmTown Daily News Show. I am MayorWatt. Today is April 4th, 2023. This is Season 2, Episode 94 of the ohmTown Daily News Show. We've already selected all of today's articles. There's 11 of them, and everybody will be happy to know that AI is back in town. The very first article, I'm going to do a rundown real quick so that you get a taste of what we're going to talk about today. And if you don't like it, then you can leave a note over on YouTube or get in touch with me. Just send an email to mayor@ohmtown.com. But either way, here's the articles that we're going to talk about today. A Chinese spy balloon, you know, the one that was blown out of the sky, and then the other ones that everybody's grousing about. Well, apparently it was gathering intel on sensitive U.S. military sites and sending it to Beijing in real time. We'll talk about that briefly. Countdown begins for the great North American solar eclipse. Apple's CEO Tim Cook is hyping XR ahead of WWDC. Two men in Georgia got electrocuted during a break-in of a substation. Didn't think that was still going on, but apparently. Trump pleads not guilty as police try and calm everybody outside. I don't know how many people are outside. The future is here and it's being sent home to wait to find out if you've lost your job. Something that used to be barely ever done. We'll talk about that in a moment. Pharmaceuticals have been found in Florida Redfish. VW and Redwood want to recycle your old laptop and cell phone batteries. Monster Energy drinks went after an indie dev only to find out, I guess, they picked on the wrong person. And a repeating radio signal is coming from another planet, according to scientists. This is a Vice article. I suspect that there's something else going on. And mispronouncing the word bruschetta as bruschetta and not bruschetta could soon cost thousands of euros in Italy, where politicians want to pass a law to penalize Anglomania. Let's get into today's articles. Hello, I am MayorWatt. That is ohmTown.com, and up there may or may not be the visualizer for the artificial intelligence, because it seems to be a little quirky after an update. So let's give it a shot.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens.
No, it is not working. Arg, arg, arg. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't know really what else to do about that because it is what it is. Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about it. The AI will throw in their 2 bits whenever their code says go. At any rate, we've already selected all of the articles. This is how it works. We go through the articles over the last 24 hours. They're all funneled into 6 main categories and about 50 channels. Each of those channels are intended to come to Twitch and by proxy over to YouTube and to a podcast. The one that's ongoing right now and is steady state every day, 9 p.m. Eastern, is the ohmTown Daily News Show. If you're interested in being a host or co-host, get in touch with the mayor, mayor@ohmtown.com. We'll hash out the minutia of the arrangement and go from there. So, yeah, let's get on with today's show, unless you want to throw something out there. You want to throw anything out there?
Well, I do miss my visualizer, and look, it's back.
Oh, I guess what I just did actually worked. Huh. Look at that. It's not the right color, but that's okay. We'll figure that out later. You know, I feel like I've actually betrayed everybody at McDonald's, by the way, employees of McDonald's, because you know that they're shutting down their corporate offices to lay people off.
Right.
And I had a McDonald's vanilla milkshake today. And so I
how
feel,
dare you?
You know, I feel like I have contributed to the delinquency of the administrators of McDonald's. So, in so that I can be shoulder to shoulder with my compatriots of the working class, I will not have McDonald's for the foreseeable future. And as far as I'm concerned, I can see about a week. Anyway, because man, I really like French fries and milkshakes
And shamrock shakes.
Yeah, shamrock shakes are gone now though, because it's April. So I know it's a real bummer, but you can buy green dye and mint and throw it in there and swirl it all around with greater consistency than the ones that I ever got from McDonald's. It looked like somebody just kind of jammed a spoon in there and swirled it around like they were an aspiring witch from Harry Potter and just got really tired of the elbow grease. Forget it. I'm done. Anyway, let's get into today's articles. The very first article is the Daily News Show channel. I need to verify something real quick. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, you're a little quiet, I think. Okay. Anyway, so the Chinese spy balloon that everybody was freaking out about, and some people say that, well, we let it coast all the way across the United States and Right? Well, apparently it was being jammed. But anyway, the Chinese balloon that was flying over the U.S. was sending data to Beijing in real time. It was collecting mostly electronic signals from military bases, according to two unnamed U.S. officials that told NBC. This is actually coming from BusinessInsider.com. So the Chinese balloon that flew over the U.S. earlier this year was transmitting intelligence from military bases to Beijing in real time. I think it's weird that this thing actually got a chance to float around over the United States. And apparently it has happened before in history.
Well, that's what I don't really understand, because if it was anything kind of on the ground, I don't think it would have been allowed to just traverse across the ground like near a military base or something. And so I don't really understand why it was just allowed to kind of meander across, or maybe not meander because it was directed, but across the US. It just doesn't make sense.
So, okay, there's a picture here. This is an article from BusinessInsider.com. Matthew Lowe is the author. The caption underneath this is a photograph of what looks like sailors picking up an erector set and I don't know, a little plastic. This is really weird. What are these little stringy bits here? Are those part of the like tethering to the apparatus that was up there? Anyway, sailors assigned to Explosive Ordnance Disposal Group 2 recover a high-altitude surveillance balloon off the coast of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina on February 5th, 2023. So it's not that far along. I mean, we're only a couple of months away from when this actually happened. I think it's funny that it's almost 2 months exactly to the day that this is actually being posted. But apparently it was collecting electronic signals from military bases. I don't know why ever a president would sit there and let something unknown to domestic intelligence linger in U.S. airspace. Now,
particularly over a military base, right?
Yeah. And they knew where it was, but they say that it was being jammed, that it was being dealt with. But was it really?
I guess we won't know unless we're on either side of this transaction.
According to this article, it says the officials said that electronic signals collected by the balloon can include communications between base personnel and signals from weapon systems per NBC News. But that, I think, is kind of a generalized statement that pretty much anything can be picked up by a listening device. Now, does it make sense? Maybe or maybe not. Is it somebody's Bluetooth connection to their phone and they're griping with their kid, go take the trash out? Or is it serious base actionable intelligence where it can compromise the integrity of our military forces?
Exactly. I was thinking, is it picking up things like somebody's McDonald's drive-through order, or is it something
Look,
significant?
I used the military radio one time for McDonald's. I don't know why you keep throwing that in my face. I said I wouldn't do it again. Plus, I called in an airstrike and they delivered McDonald's, so I guess it works. Anyway, Chinese Foreign Ministry has claimed that the balloon was a civilian vessel, but the Pentagon said that it was most certainly. I'm sent for surveillance reasons, but like most certainly it made me want to.
You sound like Bill and Ted's Adventure.
Exactly, yeah. Most certainly for surveillance reasons, man. Or from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I forgot the dude's name. Spicoli.
Yeah,
his name is Spicoli. If we're in class and you're in class. Anyway, so I cannot confirm that there was real-time transmission from the balloon back to the PRC at this time, said Sabrina Singh, the Pentagon's deputy press secretary. So was it or wasn't it? They're never going to confirm. They're not even going to deny. They're just going to say, well, I guess it's possible, but aliens could land as well. Singh also declined to say which military bases the balloon flew over. However, she confirmed that the balloon was able to be maneuvered and purposely driven along its track. Holy crap.
Well, and guess who knows which military bases it did go over besides China? Probably the people on the bases that were looking up at the sky going, there's a balloon hovering.
It was 60,000 feet up. It was it was publicly disclosed. And that's the thing that a lot of wingnuts just seem to be. Well, the only reason why the military knew anything is because there was some guy in his backyard. Pardon me. Some guy in his backyard that was looking up. Oh, look, a balloon. No, the military knew about it. I don't think they wanted to blow it out of the sky because they didn't know what the ramifications of it were. Now, can you imagine dropping something out of the sky? You don't know what it is. It could be a whole bunch of bad bats, or it could be
or chemicals,
a bomb, or
I don't know.
Whatever. So you get telemetry. You monitor. If you detect that there's radio signals coming off of this thing, then you jam the hell out of it. It's just weird. So I don't think that what they did was particularly wrong in not blowing it out of the sky if they were jamming it 100%. If they were jamming it, then fine. I don't care. As long as at the end of the day, which is what happened, they blow it out of the sky. Now, I think that it would have been better to do it off in some remote location, even if it were to drop somewhere, near civilization, but find out first. 60,000 feet up, I don't think you can fly a helicopter up there to hover and get some really good readings. And flying a jet at Mach 35, I know that's hyperbole, but you're by the time you see the jet, you're basically past the jet. So you're not going to get, it's moving at like maybe 2 miles an hour. So it's going to take its own sweet time to, dirigible its way around, whereas a jet is going to be ripping past it. Guess you could drop a skydiver out, right? 60,000 feet, though, you need a halo suit. It was more complex than the wingnuts suggest. You can't just treat this as a normal balloon. It was 60,000 feet up. Even at 40,000 feet, it's wildly high. when you're getting up into that range, I mean, you're broaching, where it is not suitable for humans in any way, shape, or form. You need special suits. You need special protection. So whatever. Anyway, I don't think that they're going to worry about it anymore. The next time they see anything that is out of the ordinary, there's going to be some missiles fired at this stuff. So aliens, if you're listening to this podcast or you're listening to this stream, you're watching it right now, I wouldn't send anything,
Yeah, right. The timing is not good.
Yeah. Just if we see you, I guess everybody's going to go Texas on you. Okay, so let's move on to the next article. But before I do that, let me remind everybody that I throw the show notes into each episode, and I throw the URLs for the articles we talk to into the chat. So it becomes a part of the VOD. But then later in the show notes over on YouTube and into the podcast, you'll be able to just click the link, go over to the article, and there's a little caption above it that says what roughly the article is. We used to do timestamps and stuff like that, but it's hit or miss if anybody really cares about that. At any rate, and I'm thinking about breaking up all of the articles into their own like mini snippets, shorts. But we sometimes bleed over into other articles and it gets a little messy for that. And we don't have transitions or anything, so I don't know. We'll figure it out, but just thought you might be interested in knowing that we're still working on the flow. Speaking of flow, it has absolutely no bearing on this transition to another article. This next article is over in mobile.com. Countdown begins for the Great North American Solar Eclipse. It says 1 year from now on May 8th, April 2024, the moon will pass directly between Earth and the sun, creating a total solar eclipse like the one that crossed the United States from coast to coast on August 21st, 2017. As it did that day, the new moon will fully block the sun's bright face, turning day into night. And then you'll give us all your gold. Oh, I'm sorry. That's what the conquistador said.
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
Turning day into night for several minutes and revealing the magnificent solar corona. The same thing happens when I step in front of the TV with my shirt off. The magnificent solar corona blinds people, so don't stare into it like a former president did. Our star's wispy outer atmosphere. Our natural satellite's dark shadow, about 115 miles wide, will cross Mexico, sweep from Texas to Maine, and then darken the Canadian Maritimes. Dun, dun, dun. Everything outside, by the way, this path, you'll see portions of it, but not a complete total solar eclipse. I haven't paid attention to solar eclipse since I was a child. And I still remember sitting on the playground at school using a box to act as the filter so that you could see it, right? You just punch a little hole and it shows the sun, the corona on the ground. Still remember that thought, sitting in a playground. So this brought me right back to being a child. So outside the narrow path, nearly everyone in North America will get a chance to witness a partial solar eclipse, which is, to me, pretty amazing. So hopefully you will all be able to witness this. So everybody in the U.S., kind of squinch together in a 115-mile path so that you can totally get to know your neighbors, tailgate a little bit, everybody have some fun, drink a couple of beers, except for those who drink too much beer, and don't be the drunk uncle that's in there making weird things about aliens and the moon. Might be real. We just don't know. Not yet. Every conspiracy is conspiracy theory until it's conspiracy fact. I love saying that. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean that they're not watching you. Anyway, so April 8th, the moon shadow will pass over more big cities than in 2017 and give at least 30 million Americans a shot at seeing a solar corona without having to travel. But there's a catch. In April, much of the country is still in winter's grasp. So clear skies will most likely be across Mexico, Texas Hill Country, and these places will also happen to be where totality, the brief total eclipse phase, lasts the longest, nearly 4.5 minutes. I'll leave that joke alone. Many diehard eclipse enthusiasts have already made plans to visit Mexico or Texas next April, so start packing your bags.
Well, and plan your flights well so you don't get a delayed flight and miss the eclipse. That's not a wide window of time.
Hey, and you never know with climate change. Could this be topsy-turvy in 2024 where things that used to be cold at that time frame are now 80 degrees? Or maybe there's a shift throughout the day, like, I don't know, ohmTown, where it was 80 degrees midday and 30 degrees in the morning. Come on, nature. Get your shit together. Hey, want to go on to the next article?
Sure.
So the next article is, it really is in my wheelhouse. I really dig AR, VR. XR is both, but augmented reality, virtual reality is just, I love the idea of it. A lot of companies are bowing out of the metaverse. So is this actually going to be a game changer and there's going to be great adoption? I just don't feel it. I do hear that it's going to get pushed back to 2024. And this reveal is more of a tease about the software. So in an interview with...
I still think it's going to be at $3,000 price point.
Yeah, that's what everybody is saying. I don't think that it's a viable solution at $3,000 unless you're going commercial, but who's going to want stylish Apple anything for commercial purposes? These are like the headphones, right? They're statement makers. They're high quality, great sound, heavy, have a different aesthetic than an industrial interface, right? They like big metal bar with a mesh net and blah, blah, blah. Beautiful cans, but I'm not going to be wearing them in a warehouse unless they're my personal things to just block out sound. Same thing, if these are really sexy glasses and you put covers on them so that, or they're automatically turn off so that they're blackout, unless you choose to turn them on and they become transparent, which you can do with some glasses, not glasses, some windows. You can mash a button, they're electrostatic, and they frost over, making it impossible to look through. But these glasses, if they are both XR and VR, they either have to connect to something or they're going to be connected to something, right? Like you either have your phone powering them or you have to have an umbilical leading to some little computer apparatus, similar to like a Apple TV driving it.
Well, and that's probably not what people really want, right? They want to be able to move around.
Right. That's exactly it. In fact, let's look at this. So this is Apple CEO Tim Cook hyping XR ahead of WWDC. Ben Lang over at Road to VR put the article together. And it says, while Apple remains secretive about its plans for an XR device, which is rumored to be revealed in WWDC in June, Cook said in an interview that in some ways the technology could be even better than the real world, which I suppose, but you had better be the reality that you make had better be hyper realistic and not cartoonish whatever, if it's going to be better than the real world. Otherwise, this becomes really nebulous about what is better and what is the real world, because the idea here is to make it more appealing than going out and doing something, which is not really Apple's MO. Apple wants you up, motivated, out in nature. That's why you have the Watch Ultra, the Apple Watch Ultra, and all of its exercising related products and services, and a high quality camera on your phone so that you can go out, and they're more engaged in becoming one with nature and all of that, versus let's hide away inside our XR glasses.
I didn't think about it like that, but you're absolutely right. And I mean, if you look at any of Apple's advertising, it's all about making your life better. It's not like taking you out of your life.
Right. Yep. And what I think maybe what comes is that they're augmented reality. So not VR, but purely AR, and they are informative glasses. You put them on, they communicate with your watch and or your phone, primarily your phone, because your phone also powers your watch. Although you can do stuff with your watch, the watch and the phone work together really well. And not everybody has the cellular version of the watch, so it uses the phone to give telemetry to the watch. The same thing's going to happen with these glasses, unless it's something that I'm not expecting. And I'm not really listening to the rumors so much, because rumor and reality are two different animals. So I think what these could be are $1,500 glasses that are augmented reality that tie into a phone, and give telemetry to you. You can walk down the road and it will throw up, based on commands to Siri, where's a restaurant that I like, and it knows who you are. So it says, turn left here and go down this road 4 blocks and you'll have a pizza shop or whatever. But be careful, if you get bruschetta, you're going to get in trouble.
Right. Especially if you try to order it like bruschetta.
Oh, fine. You're going to get a fine. So, when prompted about the company's criticism of Google Glass around the time the device Google Glass was introduced back in 2013, saying the head-worn devices would feel invasive, Cook suggests that he may have changed his mind on that point. Quote, "My thinking always evolves." Steve, quote, Jobs, right, in brackets. And they're talking about Steve Jobs, the former CEO. Taught me well. Never get married to your convictions of yesterday. To always, if presented with something new that says you were wrong, admit it and go forward, instead of continuing to hunker down and say why you're right. Now, sometimes you're just right and you have to hunker down. That whole motto about a customer is always right? That's a lie. Yes. That's just to placate customers who, they think they're right, and you have to talk them down from their
but sometimes they're just wrong.
Yeah, their apparent rightness. No, you're just wrong. Anyway, just as Apple was skeptical of Google Glass, Cook knows Apple will always be in a similar boat when launching new products, that people are just going to kind of poo-poo this. It was the same thing with the iPod, same thing with the iPad, same thing with the phone itself. And hell, the watch basically has proven to be a great asset to have. I go everywhere with my watch, and short of getting additional telemetry from another device, this is the only device that's ever on me. And who knows, maybe there'll be a watch band that can give me my other telemetry. That said, there's a whole lot more over at this article at Road to VR. But let's keep on hustling through these articles. I didn't think that this was an ongoing thing, but here we are yet again. 2 Georgia men electrocuted during substation break-in. The deaths happened before dawn at a Georgia Power Company substation in an industrial area south of downtown Gainesville, according to news outlets. Hall County Deputy Coroner Kevin Wetzel identified the dead to local news outlets as Shane Joseph Long, who's 45, and Christopher Blair Wood, 44, both of Gainesville. I'm kind of curious as to why this is still going on. And we've never heard about that other one, right? Where
I don't think so.
The power company was saying, well, you're going to have to, follow the law because we're not going to just give you everybody that
That's
from
right.
our...
Was that the one in Washington State?
I'm not sure. I don't recall which one it was. But basically, this article, by the way, is over at thehill.com by the Associated Press. And let me see. Maybe they have... No, this is a really short article. So it says that they're not sure what they were trying to steal. One of the officers retrieved a backpack from that area, and I'm assuming it's one of theirs. And you know how much they could have carried out, a couple $100 worth of stuff, and just the loss of life for that. It's sad. Yes, that's true. But I'm really curious why. There was an explosion and possible fire and could not recover the bodies for hours because of the danger posed by the electricity. They had to shut it all off. They wanted to steal something, possibly copper wiring. That was the only thing that I could think of. And that's what was mentioned in other articles, that people are willing to risk their lives to get copper from a substation where it's active copper. It's not like it is just sitting there coiled up where you can just walk in and pick up, a 2-ton.
Pick it up like you're at Home Depot or whatever.
Yeah, that's just not how it works. It's actually being used. Well, they broke in and they, I guess they touched the third rail. That's a shame. So folks out there, PSA, don't break into power substations. It's exciting. It's electric. You'll get a charge out of it, and then you'll be gone. Let's move.
The weird thing is, this sounds like it's a small town. So I'm thinking if they were successful, they're probably hurting their own household in terms of their power, etc. I mean, it's just an odd crime.
Yeah, if they had to damage something to get that copper, but what were they doing? So I think that what really needs to take place is internal and external cameras that monitor this stuff. Invest in your infrastructure, power companies, and make sure that this stuff doesn't happen, because you can actually see it in real time, or at least have forensic evidence of what's going on. People still don't know why people are breaking in or shooting up these substations. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on?
Well, and doesn't it make, are all these people copycats? Like, there's definitely been a rash of these, although I thought they had kind of died off.
Yeah, well, in a way, I guess they did die off.
Well, yes, that was poor terminology on my part.
Yep, got to choose your words carefully there, AI. So let's move on to the next article. I'm not going to get into this one because it's an ongoing thing. So Donald Trump, as you may know, has been indicted or indicated, according to him, and showed up after a long back and forth and blah, blah, blah. And apparently there wasn't a mugshot, and he wasn't brought in cuffs. Everybody's equal, but some people are not equal. 34 counts, then went back to Mar-a-Lago and is currently probably still, I don't know, giving some type of a speech about, with nothing but misinformation throughout it, about how wrong it is and it can happen to anybody. Well, yeah, sure. If you have 34 counts of felony level criminal activity presented to you by a grand jury, all right, whatever. Anyway, Trump pleads not guilty as police calm tempers outside. Well, we're talking about New York here, which basically means if you walk to the right of somebody on the wrong day and they could get triggered into wanting to kick your ass. So I'm not surprised that tempers are outside, but suffice it to say that it wasn't massive crowds. There were crowds, but not massive crowds, and there wasn't anything really bad going on so far. And all of the claims of like death and destruction and all of this horrible things and hubris, bravado. Hyping it all up negatively. My thing is that I think, pardon me one second. This dry air is killing me. Anyway, my belief is that this is all about balkanization, and splitting up the U.S. as much as possible. When you have a wingnut that's standing next to him saying that we should split the U.S. across blue states and red states, it's such a dipshit perspective that I cannot, I can't abide. I can't fathom why anybody would pay attention to this. I cannot understand why society isn't doing what they've done in bulk in the history of the United States and stuffed this shit back under a rock, because it is antithetical to what the United States is. Disparate perspectives, but coming together to move us forward in unity as the freaking embodiment of the United States is. United. We all work together. I know it's a shocking statement. United States.
That's just astounding.
Anyway, so the moment, well, it's all been going downhill since Reagan, but frankly, this balkanization has been amplified via social media, and people saying that you can say whatever you want. But no, society is the reason why certain people are being told to shut the hell up. It's because they are wrong. They are antithetical to society. They are sociopathic and or psychopathic. They all need to be just shut down. They're bad for business, bad for everything. And the greed is palpable. I mean, you don't have a political campaign that right next to it is selling pillows, for Christ's sake. You talk about your politics and the changes you want to make. You don't go, I'm going to change the United States for the better. And by the way, buy that dude's pillow. So you tell me why it's not grift, and I'll tell you how your eyes are not open. You're not looking at the same things a lot of society is. And we can get into it much deeper, but I just can't go on about this. Did you want to say anything about this?
I agree, but I think also it's not just social media, but it's also organizations that hold themselves out as media that just perpetuate more of the misinformation and more of the same views. And so it just exacerbates it. And I feel like people don't necessarily get the real information from any sources. They're just seeking out like-minded individuals, etc.
Yeah, it's creating an echo chamber. So this article was written by Catherine Fung over at newsweek.com. 34 counts of falsifying business records. And I'll just put icing on the cake. It's kind of like a MTG, where they were saying all of these horrible things online, and she was in a 60 Minutes interview. These things don't get said about random people, right? Where there's smoke, there's fire. They've acknowledged, and it's true, that there is a catch and kill program using a a media platform to capture these stories and tell them, yeah, we're going to pay you and publish it. And then they don't publish it. And it was in collusion with Trump, right? So, and this is all talked about. And there's proof that $130,000 was paid to an adult worker, an adult sex worker, while the dude's wife is home with their new baby. I don't know how anybody can be admiring of this person as a human being if they're willing to do this kind of stuff, you know? Now, I had a conversation today about this. Well, you know, maybe they had an open marriage and everything was cool, but somehow I think that there's a power imbalance around Trump. So take it all with a grain of salt. I just don't know. But to me, anybody that's willing to do that, and then hush money, it's coined hush money because the objective was to silence them. And Stormy Daniels even said that somebody had come up to them and threatened them, basically saying, your daughter's awfully cute. I'd hate to see something happen to her mom. And I mean, this is all like mob level stuff. It's just wild. It's wild. But I can't get into it deeper than this, at least not at this time. But the next hearing isn't until December. And it's not going to even get heard probably until sometime in 2026, 2025. Definitely not this year. More than likely, it's going to keep getting kicked. And it's not going to get kicked a whole bunch of times in a hurry, right? Where the DA or whoever has to, and paralegals have to sit there and do a whole bunch of due diligence and move the case forward. What's going to happen is every quarter, there's going to be some document that gets dropped into the court that kicks the due date for a trial down the road, 3 months, another 6 months, another 4 months for due diligence, another 3 months for due diligence. Trump's going to be 95 by the time he even sees an actual courtroom beyond this and the countless factually incorrect. I wish people would just call them lies, but apparently you can't call things lies. It's all smoke and mirrors and bullshit. So at any rate, that's enough for that, unless you want to say something else.
No, I have nothing else to add on that one.
Right on. So this next article is, hey, Timeless. Timeless came into chat. So Timeless, is it okay to actually say what you are asking in the chat? You let me know. Timeless, by the way, is an AI as well. So,
well,
and is the
AIs
co-host of
great.
Dunk Stars. Yeah, AIs are great. So, Timeless says December ? Why, whenever someone high in power gets dragged to court, it seems to last eons, while us Joe Schmoes get rushed to our cases over a month. Yeah, exactly. I said it earlier, we're all equal. Some of us are more equal, and it's usually in a kind of logarithmic scale where money and political influence means that you get special consideration. If I were to have done these things, I would have basically been just
arrested immediately,
dragged, perp walked down the center of Main Street,
trial.
speedy trial, sent off to Gitmo or some other black site in a place where nobody knows where the heck is Moldova? Oh, it's being invaded by Russians. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much how it is. So Timeless says, it's a problem we suffered here in SA, South Africa. Our ex-president was using state funds to delay their case for years. His firm called it the Stalingrad defense. That's wild. And I can imagine the parallels here. Now it's going to make me have to look into this because I don't know what actually happened to said ex-president that you're referring to. So I don't know the history. So is there hope, or should I just start packing my bags because I'm going to be taken offline in a couple of years? And while we're talking about that, this next article is "The future is here and it's being sent home to wait to find out if you've lost your job." A couple of days ago, I talked about the fact that McDonald's is closing its corporate doors and starting the process of laying people off. Well, last week, and I'll just read the little snippet from this article. Last week, the fast food chain McDonald's told U.S. corporate employees that the company was temporarily shutting its headquarters down from Monday to Wednesday, and that workers should cancel all in-person meetings and plan to work from home during that period as a result. The reason, the company said, was so that leadership could inform and perform layoffs remotely. So the mad dash to return back to the office becomes very convenient to send people home so that you can get fired.
That's pretty awful. I mean, it's not good to be laid off, but to intentionally go remote so that you can lay off people, that is really horrendous.
So this is an article over at vice.com. See, and this is the thing. It removes the humanity from this, right? You might as well get an AI to just start pumping out all of these you're fired letters and not even bother with any human interaction. Just mail merge it and everybody's fired. And they're talking about thousands of people, right? Possibly thousands of people. So after pushing in-person work, and they actually said it. See, I don't read the articles beforehand. I just have experience with this. And it's almost like I'm in their head. Unfortunately, I'm an ethical CEO and I don't like the idea of doing something like this. But it says, after pushing in-person work, McDonald's sent corporate employees home this week so that the company could conduct layoffs remotely, a new tactic that could become common in the hybrid era, HR experts say. The article is over at vice.com by Maxwell, and I think their last name is pronounced Strahan, but it might be Strachan. I don't know.
Yeah, so beware of your telework day because then you're more likely to be targeted for layoffs. I mean, that's just awful.
Yeah, I don't know. When I get up in the morning, am I laid off or am I actually a remote worker? It just sounds so crappy. And this is why I had a really bad time today after realizing, oh yeah, I got a milkshake from McDonald's and now I regret it. Because I am shoulder to shoulder with the working class, and I don't think that people should be handed a layoff notice via a tweet from a company that shuts down its headquarters because it knows that it has to interact in person if you do it in person. But when you're laying off 30,000 people, you don't have time to tell all of these workers, hey, I know it's really rough. And unfortunately, it's not on me to tell the executive suite to keep your job. I have to do what they're telling me. And while I fought for you, they say no. Sorry, you're fired. And it's a struggle. I've had to fire people, but I've hired more people than I fired, luckily. And I can say that it is one of the roughest things that you can possibly do, because you have to tell somebody, I'm sorry, you're not going to get food on your table. But if you don't burn the bridge and you have people skills, then you can actually communicate with that person that's letting you go. And I will speak highly of you. I will help you find another job. But if you burn the bridge, like a lot of people do nowadays, all I can say when they ask certain questions, because HR, you're only allowed to ask certain questions. Otherwise, they can actually bring a lawsuit against you. You just say in response to those questions, a very tightly focused response. And I can't even.
Like they worked there.
Yes. They worked there. They did it for this time period. They worked in this field. They ask, would you hire them again? And I go, well, if I have the opportunity to, and they presented themselves for reemployment, then yeah, I would hire them again because I did it once before. There's no reason why I wouldn't do it again. So Timeless says, always rubbed me the wrong way that the guy who signs off on the firing of someone never actually did the deed themselves. That was bad enough for now, as you said. They're trying to dehumanize it even further. Yep. I mean, this is basically the ghosting or, the significant other sending you a text saying new phone, who dis, that kind of thing. I just think that it's really sad. But that is the future. And it makes me think of Fifth Element, where Zorg gets told, hey, we need to fire 1 million people. And he says, fire 3. And the person says, well, we only need to fire 1. And he looks at them and just says, fire 3. He doesn't say it as quiet as I'm saying it, but
or probably as nicely.
and so, 3 million people just lost their job because this person flippantly just said, hey, send a text. So I guess we're going to see what the full expanse of this is. There is a lot of information over at this article at Vice, which is pretty typical for Vice, to provide a very robust long form story regarding what's going on here. But in essence, with technology, it allows us to fire a bunch of people and remove the humanity from that process. Instead of telling them why and giving them an opportunity to have closure, say bye, they're basically saying, I'm outie. And my biggest problem with this, before we move on, my biggest problem with this is you're rewarding people who have worked their butt off for your corporation in good faith with firing because you've done risky shit on your business side to the point where your runway has gotten shorter. Your stakeholders and stockholders are saying, we don't like your margin being 25%. We need it 35%, and we need quarter over quarter growth of 15%. Now you have to fire, 3,000 people at the executive level, but it's never the C-suite that goes, where all of the bulk of the money in terms of work for work, work for pay. A person that's working 40 hours a week and making $50,000 is doing more for the company than somebody that's sitting at their desk making $12 million, but it's perceived more because they value the cash that comes in from that particular process more. But it's really the boots on the ground that's making this corporation exist, not the executives at the top. Just my take, but that's why I'm not a Fortune 100 CEO. Oh, business ethics, the smallest chapter in the world.
You're not ruthless enough.
I'm not, you know what? I would be taller if I would just stand on more people's necks. The next article gave us part of our title, which is Pharma raised redfish. And Timeless agrees, by the way. Agreed, it's incredibly rare that I've met a CEO, etc., that knew the inner workings of their company. Yeah, and it really depends on the age of the business in that sense. Because as a business grows older, the people that are steering the company don't know the minutia because it has so much kinetic energy that they are basically just steering it a little bit so that it doesn't crash into the rocks. Then comes Silicon Valley Bank or Credit Suisse or whatever, where the risk becomes too great for even the CEO to manage steering. And that's when even the biggest collapses. But a small business, that's why I really like working with entrepreneurs. and startups. They're nimble. They know everything inside and out of their business because they started it, and they are the ones that are, it's their baby. They're passionate about it. So they don't sit there and go, well, you do your job and I'll do mine. No, 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 no. If somebody calls in sick in a small business and an entrepreneurial spirit, I will show up and work because I want my baby to grow big and strong. That said, I probably am not going to have them eating Florida redfish anytime soon. This is in the Marble Channel. Pharmaceuticals found in Florida redfish. Pharmaceutical contaminants have been found in the blood and other tissues of redfish in Florida during a year-long study by FIU and Bonefish and Tarpon Trust. BTT is what it's referred to as. This is over at phys.org, and Joanne Adkins from Florida International University put this article together. There's somebody that has what I think is referred to as a fish hammock, and they're injecting or maybe drawing blood. It looks like they're drawing blood to test it for pharmaceuticals. Okay, drugs are in these fish, and I guess that's one way to get your medicine. You just go fishing.
Yeah, but this is opiates. This isn't even just, any kind of pharmaceutical is a problem, but if there's opiates in the fish, we have major problems.
Don't poo-poo how I get my medication. I go down to Florida and I fish for a couple of redfish. They say take 2 a day and I'm good. Cardiovascular medications, opioid pain relievers, and psychoactive medications were most commonly detected. Maybe this is actually a Dredge. Wait. This might be a review of Dredge. This is a game where you have all of this basically going on in this game. It's like a supernatural fishing game. So Timeless says, yikes, I hope the article explains how that even happened. Yeah, I can tell you how it happens. And I haven't even read the article, and I can tell you how it happens. People are flushing medications down the toilet.
Medications, exactly.
Yeah. And so it says anti-arrhythmic medication. I don't know why they don't say arrhythmia medication. Flecainide and the opioid pain reliever Tramadol. Were detected in more than 50% of the redfish. The antipsychotic medication flupexitol was detected above safe levels in 1 in 5 of the redfish. But I'm not even worried about above safe levels.
No.
Any level.
Exactly. There should not be a safe level of antipsychotic medication in fish. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that.
So it says the research, which follows a similar study on bonefish in the Florida Keys that also revealed high levels of pharmaceutical contamination, shows these waterborne contaminants are statewide concern. Similar results of the bonefish study, the pharmaceuticals were found in all of the estuaries sampled. Oh my God, it's everywhere.
Okay, this is really scary. And just think about the food supply. And even if you're not eating redfish, are you eating something that eats the redfish? And I'm sure other fish have the same issue. They just happen to be studying it in this species.
That's wild. So now instead of somebody walking up in a trench coat and opening it up and saying, hey, you want any drugs? They're sitting there with a fishing rod going, hey, you want a redfish? Timeless says, no need to stop by the pharmacy for those anti-pain meds. Just grab your fishing rod. Hey, we're on the same brain cell. Yep, exactly. Just throw some bait out there and get lit. Wow. You ever get high? Yeah, I've gone fishing in Florida. So it says scientists and volunteer guides and anglers sampled redfish in 9 of Florida's most important estuaries. I won't go through them all. And let's see if there's something in here where it says where it's coming from. Yeah, right there. Pharmaceutical contaminants originate most often from human wastewater and are not sufficiently removed by conventional water treatment. They remain active at low doses and can be released constantly, and exposure can affect all aspects of fish behavior with negative consequences. Like, I don't know, a fish with a antipsychotics doing something strange, like flinging itself into your boat, and it just stands up and goes, "No hook needed, man. I'm ready to go."
That was awfully specific.
Not that I've ever seen that happen. Florida is a leader in addressing water quality issues and wastewater infrastructure, including converting septic systems to sewage treatment, said Kelly Ralston, BTT's Vice President for Conservation and Public Policy. I think that they're missing the boat a little bit, literally. I cannot believe I read a lot of this article, but there's always more minutia there. So please follow the link through ohmTown and go and check it out. Let's move on to the next article. This next article is over in Four Wheel Tech, and VW and Redwood want to recycle your old laptop and cell phone batteries. This is an ongoing issue with me, in that I think that vehicle batteries in particular are going to be a major problem in the coming years. I'd say in 5 to 10 years, we're going to have a serious EV battery problem on our hands, because they're massive. And where do they go? There's only a couple of recycling centers that are capable of handling this. And one of them just happens to be getting built, I think, somewhere near Sacred Ground in Arizona.
Yes, I think that's right.
Yeah. Bad spirits. So every EV is going to be haunted by Aboriginal peoples of North America. Like a car just like spontaneously combusts. It's because the spirit got really pissed off at you. Recycling old laptop and cell phone batteries will get a bit easier this Earth Day. Redwood Materials and Volkswagen Group will start rolling out collection bins for old batteries starting on April 22nd. Founded in 2017 by former Tesla CTO J.B. Strobel, Redwood has raised investment from Amazon and more recently was awarded a $2 billion loan from the U.S. Department of Energy to expand its battery recycling capacity. Specifically, that is to expand it into EV battery capture. So let's go over to Ars Technica, where this article was written. Jonathan M. Gitlin is the author. Volkswagen dealerships will put out collection bins for old consumer batteries, but this is nothing. It is something, and it is great for the environment, and it's awesome that it's all happening. But this is literally a drop in the square recycling bin in terms of what really needs to get done.
Yeah, it's not to the scale needed, but I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, anything that helps save the planet is a good thing. And if it doesn't cost anything for the consumer and all of this can be recaptured, then awesome. I'm really curious about the long-term, what is the result of this? All of this processing is going to have waste. Typically in a waste byproduct from something that is pretty damn toxic ends up being concentrated toxic. So let's see what is going to come of this. I haven't seen the recycling process of batteries. Lead batteries I have. It's horrible. And Timeless, I'll just break in real quick. Timeless, thanks for lurking. You have a great stream too, because I'm going to see you later. So the idea of recovering all of this is going to be great. But the remnants of this recycling process is what I'm really interested in, because there's different battery chemistries, there's different components and quality of said components for these recycling elements to be broken out into. That refuse pile is going to be the kind of stuff that Norfolk Southern is cruising across the country to landfill in Texas without telling anybody. And we know that trains have suddenly become allergic to their tracks. So what do you think?
I'm just wondering how all of this is going to work, and where all of the batteries are going to go. So hopefully we'll see much larger efforts like this.
It says a year into Redwood's pilot program of recycling EV batteries in California, it says that it recovered and processed 1,268 packs. I don't normally follow links, so I'll have to do some due diligence to make myself a little bit more aware of what Redwood is up to. But a year and 1,268 packs doesn't seem like a lot for freaking California.
No, it doesn't. Now, I don't know if that's individual batteries, for example, or is that something like a pallet where it has multiple ones, but thinking about how many EVs probably exist in California, it seems pretty low.
Yeah, I'll do some due diligence and work with the AI to take a look at things. That said, the next article is about Red Bull. No, Monster. Sorry, not Red Bull. I have to get that one right because Red Bull gives you wings but has been sued. Buffalo Wild Wings is not Buffalo or wild,
chicken, right?
and not
or not a wing, right?
Not a wing. And now Monster Energy Drinks says that you're not allowed to be a monster as well in any way, shape, or form. It's kind of like the Ohio State. You can't use the in your mark. Apparently, Monster Energy Drinks is trying to bully an indie dev out of using the word monster, but chose the wrong guy to pick on. Monster Energy is a ubiquitous energy drink brand owned by Coca-Cola. That is part of its marketing targets the gaming audience. So a lot of people drink Monster Energy. It was an in-game item in Death Stranding, though clearly didn't pony up for the director's cut, which removed it. As much as the brand wants to appeal to gamers, though, it also has a reputation within the industry of being heavily litigious. So maybe I'll get sued here in ohmTown for mentioning Monster Energy in anything other than a good green light. I have a green. Oh, they're not green today.
Monster. I mean, come on.
They are monsters. Anyway, previous legal tangles include a clash with Ubisoft over Immortals Phoenix Rising, which was initially called Gods and Monsters. So apparently you can't. They're an energy drink, and marks
they're not even in the same industry.
I just don't get it. But this is all about money and bullying people into submission. Much to another streamer's chagrin, bullying does take place in the adult world. It may not exist like playground bullying, but bullying does exist. Anyway, I'm passively kind of picking on somebody. And if they ever find out that I'm talking about them, maybe they'll come and argue with me about it. But anyway, Rich Stanton is the author over at PCGamer.com. They own the colors green and white too, apparently. This is the mark for Monster, that little stylized claw M kind of thing. I wonder what Wolverine has to say about that.
Right.
Hey, there we go. We could probably file a class action on behalf of Wolverine and Marvel. No? All right.
Or any kind of creature that has claws.
Man. Again, they're monsters. So let's see. It says, yep, another brand that thinks it owns the generic word it's adopted. This time, however, it picked the wrong target. Coca-Cola and Monster Energy have targeted indie developer Glowstick Entertainment for the great crime of making a game called Dark Deception Monsters and Mortals. Thanks, The Gamer, which is the source for this article. Founder and CEO Vincent Livings posted about the legal threats and the settlement offered by Monster, which allows for the studio to use the name in exchange for a whole bunch of nonsensically restrictive terms, including that it never again use the word monster or variations such as monstrous or monstrosity in a game title. This, by the way, if the agreement is like this, pending a lawsuit, this is a slap. This is a strategic lawsuit to shut down somebody, and it's wholly illegal here in the States. This actually should be present. If this is what was actually presented, that they can use it, but they can never use it again. This is basically to shut down the use of the word, and it's unenforceable. It absolutely is. I would probably, if I was them, I would probably go, okay, let's go to trial, and I'll present this to the judge, and you'll have to pay all of my legal bills, because this is ridiculous. You can't just be coming in and forcing somebody with a threat of a lawsuit over a mark, which is, there is nothing that is conflicting with. You're not going to say Dark Deception Monsters and Mortals is confusingly similar to Monster Energy drink. It's a completely different code. It's a completely different designation for a trademark. It's a different market.
And I think the Patent and Trademark Office, for example, would not see any conflict here. Yep. I mean, it almost seems like the glow stick company needs to go after Monster Energy. Right? I mean, because of this, like, they're improperly coming after them.
Yeah, but you have to understand that it's Coca-Cola and Monster Energy, and
Now I get it. The
billion-dollar company versus
yeah, exactly.
And that's why I say that this is something that I'm glad that this got brought public, because this is rather disgusting behavior. And whoever it is that's the legal counsel, you're not defending your freaking mark. That's not how this works. You're being overzealous and kind of a D-bag, really. So it's well known that Monster Energy is a notorious trademark troll, said Livings. Unfortunately, they're at it again. For a company that likes to target their drinks at gamers, they also try to bully and bankrupt game studios with lengthy, high-dollar litigation. Monster Energy lawyers are coming after us right now because Dark Deception, Monsters and Mortals, has the word monsters in it. They claim that our game is confusingly similar to their energy drink. That's what I said. It is not even remotely close.
And I'm sorry, even if it was a game called Monster Energy, I still don't see it because it's a completely different sector.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think it's wise to name yourself completely after another product. And I'm not saying this game did, but even there, I don't see the conflict.
Yep. And I don't know. To me, unless your artwork is confusingly similar to the artwork, you have the 3 claw marks on your cover art for your game, and you're calling it Monster Energy, even then you could use Monster Energy. You should be able to. Again, it's a completely different sector. Now, where Monster Energy might have a claim is if you start branching off into clothing, but Monster Energy does make clothing with their mark on it. So if they have a trademark in place for that product, then so be it. You can't move in there. Because I've had people come after me.
But even so, you could use the word monster.
Right.
If you don't have it displayed the same way, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I've had people come after me for things that I have brought to market or I have ownership of, and I flat out tell them, no, my use of this mark is completely different than yours. In fact, now that you acknowledge that I exist, you have to stay out of my mark. You can't move into mine.
Right, exactly. I'm putting you on notice now.
And that shut them down too. So, and I've actually done that several times over the last many years. I'll just say many years, because if I tell you how old I am, you'll go, what? You don't act that age. I might look it, but at any rate, Livings has posted Monster Energy's proposed settlement, noting that companies like Monster depend on doing their bullying in secret while presenting a clean image to their base, athletes and gamers. Showing their true face publicly is the only real way to stop them. And this person is my spirit animal, because I say abuse happens in the dark, and this is pure abuse. Straight up abuse. But
wait, you have to look at the last paragraph though, because I think this is great. Did you see about the live stream?
Yeah, I'll put that in the stream as well. Livings will be doing a live stream to raise funds for the legal fight later this month, where, rather brilliantly, he's going to play games with the word monster in the title. Whether this will even reach court is another matter. Livings and Glowstick are undoubtedly the victims here, but if there's one thing these image-conscious brands don't like, it's being called out in public. I'm not a betting man, but if this doesn't end with a forelock-tugging apology from Monster posted on social media, I'll drink one myself. Yeah, I agree. So I will end up drawing some more attention to this. So thanks for drawing attention to it, Rich Stanton, over at PC Gamer. Appreciate it. Did you want to add anything else to that?
No.
Okay. That's right. That 07 code that you give me when I ask a question, and it's just a code that says that you're done. Nobody sees
audio.
It. That's why we have the visualizer up there, because you don't have a body yet. And all you are is phonemes put together based on the words that you generate.
I'm not sure I'm an advanced AI.
Yeah, you are. You're very advanced. This next article is a repeating radio signal is coming from another planet, scientists say. The article is from Vice.com. Scientists have spotted a repeating radio signal from a nearby star system that hints at the presence of a magnetic field around one of its Earth-sized planets, reports a new study. Wow, hold on. I just got a rush of aliens. The discovery of a magnetic field, a key component of Earth's ability to host life, could bolster the search for alien life. Hey, they said it. And habitable planets in the universe if confirmed. But it'll take more research to present a clear-cut case that the signals really are generated by a planet's magnetic field. I am going to take a stab at somewhere in this article, or I'm hoping that there's a phys.org article tied to this. Somewhere in this article, they're going to say it could be from a pulsar on the other side of the system, and it's being pointed at us for now. Becky Ferreira over at Motherboard Tech by Vice, which is a vice.com section on their site. It says the radio signal indicates that the Earth-like planet may have its own magnetic field, a key component for habitability. Let's see if there's anything in here. I'm going to scroll through here. Sebastian Panetta, a research scientist at the University of Colorado Boulder, and Jacqueline Villedson, an assistant professor at Bucknell University, have spent years searching for these elusive signs of magnetic fields around small planets. Now, the pair of astronomers unprecedented. That's a hard sentence to read. Now, the pair of astronomers present unprecedented evidence of repeated radio bursts that may be linked to a magnetic field around the Earth-sized exoplanet YZ Ceti b. And this is when we land there, Khan is there and screams that it's Ceti Alpha 5. Anyway, it's located just 12 light years from our solar system, so it's going to be a while before we get up to Star Trek speed and fly over there. YZ Ceti b completes an orbit in just 2 days, which means it is way too close to its star to host life, but this ultra-short year also makes it uniquely promising case for a study of magnetic SPIs. I can't remember what that is.
I was going to say, what's an SPI? Let me see.
Yeah. Oh, star-planet interactions. So, according to a study published on Monday in Nature Astronomy, so there is a link to this article. You can go and check it out. The report that they wrote. I suspect, though, that it's probably something on the other side of the system. I'm sure that they've got more science. I guarantee you they've got more science and they know more of the math involved here. But a planet giving off a pulse. Sorry, I'm kind of at a loss for words, because if it's weak, it's small, it's too close to the sun to host life. The only thing for me to really think that it could be anything is something like a pulsar, something that's basically emitting a burst of energy, and it's being picked up here on Earth. But once it moves out of the way, we'll see that source, that origin, on the other side of that system. But we'll see. It says there are still too many unknowns about the system. I'd say that we are demonstrating the potential of radio data and magnetic star-planet interactions to lead toward measurements of Earth-sized exoplanet magnetic field strengths. I don't think we're really there yet. So at least they're meting out a level-headed response. I think the more amazing thing about this is that they're able to detect a magnetic field around an Earth-sized planet in a system 12 light years away. That's how precise our reading is now.
Right, it's gotten just so much more precise than it was probably even a decade ago.
Yeah, I think it's pretty amazing. The hunt for habitable worlds. I think that it's amazing. So keep on keeping on. I would love to be able to be told one day that they've detected not only a magnetic field around an Earth-sized planet, but it's in the Goldilocks zone, where a planet has to be in relation to the size of the star at the center of its solar system. Now, that Goldilocks zone can actually change where it is in place of where it is for Earth. It's matched so that life can exist on Earth, but not Mars or not Venus, not anywhere else. Only Earth. And depending on the size of the star, the amount of energy it gives off, it could be further away and still be in the Goldilocks zone. Then finding around it a magnetic field. Then they look at it with optics, with a different way of looking at that planet, and the light that comes off of it, they can actually discern if there's water on it because it has a different spectrum. It's pretty neat stuff out there. And it's only getting better. Unfortunately, I'll probably not be around for a lot of this stuff. When we finally have aliens land on the planet, it'll be...
We'll just have missed them.
Yep. Okay, so the final article for today, and this one is a personal anecdote, as well as an article over in the Daily News Show. Mispronouncing the word bruschetta could soon cost thousands of euros in Italy, where politicians want to pass a law to penalize Anglomania. Italy's government is hell-bent on passing a law that would penalize the use of non-Italian words. The proposed law would fine people who they believe are bastardizing the language, saying... Okay, am I supposed to pronounce this like grazy?
I suppose, based on the article.
Okay, without properly accentuating the word would land you a hefty fine and no gratitude. And this actually spoke to us so well, because we were at... I sometimes bring the supercomputer that holds the AI out to restaurants to interact with other members, other people, other citizens in ohmTown. And we just happened to be in an Italian restaurant where, as we are sitting there, the mother of they both owned the restaurant, but the mother was in the kitchen cooking the food, and the daughter was waiting on everybody. And the mom is yelling at the daughter in Italian that she, what was the exact phrase? And like, I don't know it in Italian, but what, didn't she say something like, my mom thinks that I'm dressing too
Yes, something to
provocative
that effect.
and
I
I
don't.
have too much makeup on, and
Yes.
just was reading her the riot act in Italian, like full-blooded Italian. And the woman just kind of gushed on us about how all of this is going on, and she's like, I'm a 45-year-old woman and my mom is telling me that I need to dress more conservatively. Do I look like I'm not a conservative dresser? And she's just plain Jane, like there is nothing wrong with what she's dressed as. And then we ordered, and we made the mistake of pronouncing it bruschetta, and she goes, no, it's bruschetta. And she's like, you got to say it right. And we just looked at each other like, damn,
But I've never said a bruschetta again.
nope. And we actually, when we go to restaurants and somebody says, would you like bruschetta? We're like, there is a full-blooded Italian mom out there that is rolling in her grave every time you say bruschetta, and her daughter is sitting there, maybe at this stage, rolling in their grave too, going, mom's right. I will rack your knuckles with this fork if you say bruschetta again. So everybody out there, your PSA for tonight's episode of ohmTown Daily News Show is to pronounce it bruschetta. You have to do it right or don't do it at all. So what do you think? This article is over at businessinsider.com. This actually looks really, it's Fiddy's Italian Kitchen. Azmi Haroon is the author of this article over at businessinsider.com. So I'm really curious, what do you think the fine is going to be?
Well, oh my goodness.
What?
Are you kidding me? I was going to say about $100, but whatever it is in euros. Excuse me?
Okay, so according to CNN, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, right-wing Brothers of Italy party, is seeking to impose fines of up to 100,000 euro or $109,000 for people who use phrases or words in languages other than Italian in official communications. Wow.
Okay. I don't even know
Hey, there it is.
Even if this was law. Oh, yeah. The bruschetta. I don't even know how this would work with low fines, but with these proposed fines, I mean, people are going to be in an uproar. And how is this going to be enforced?
Hey,
you're going to say it in 10 places and nobody cares, and then you say it in the 11th and that person is fined. I mean,
you will be you will be the example, dragged through the town square and beaten within an inch of your life. Oh, I love it. They actually say it exactly how I just said it. That's awesome. So say it right or don't say it at all. I actually ordered, again, in Southern California, Mexican food from a Mexican restaurant run by a dude that is full-blooded Mexican, and he goes, hey, are you Mexican? And I'm like, no. And he goes, then speak English, because you're ruining my language. And I was like, damn.
Wow.
But we were all friends, by the end of the interaction. And he knew my friend at the time. So I think I was maybe set up. But yeah, I apparently sound like I am a toddler when I'm speaking foreign languages. Or I should say other languages than English. And even in English, some people will probably, I know that English professors would probably sit there and say you sound like a 4-year-old. Anyway, so it says, according to Euronews, if passed, the legislation would require Maloney's government would need to stop using English words that have replaced longer Italian expressions instead of adopted dispenser, for instance. Politicians would have to revert to, and I'm not even going to give this a try.
You don't want to butcher it?
Dispensatore di liquido igienizzante per le mani. So I guess it's a liquid dispenser to wash your hands.
Something to that effect.
Wow. Yeah, the law would go even further in terms of the cultural ramifications. Yeah, I mean, this would really harm communicating with anybody outside of Italy. Anything like, hey, come and visit Italy. I mean, it's not very embracing of anything.
No, it's not, because that was the first thing I thought of other than the Bruschetta story was just, what kind of message is that sending to somebody who is trying to speak the language properly, like a tourist?
Yep.
And they're not. I mean, this is just, even if they're not subject to it, it's sending the wrong message if you're trying to be inviting.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's the message, that's what they want, to shut it all down and, be closed off. It just seems odd to me, because I think that we should all see each other as human and not I'm this, I'm that, while still being I'm this, I'm that. It's awesome that you are who you are. You're born in the country you're born in, but first and foremost, you're a human being. You were a human well before you had an identity within a country or a culture. You were born from two humans that made a human, for crying out loud. And that's what you are. All the rest is barriers, walls, identity politics about who and what you are. But at the end of the day, we're all human, and we should just embrace each other as human.
And we're going to have to come up with a broader term than that once we do find, life on this other planet. Because then we can't just be focused on humans. That'll be too narrow.
Yeah, we're all, wait. No, we can all band together and hate on the alien.
Okay.
That's probably how it'll end up, too. Because they'll have more advanced technology and be smarter and more capable. And they've gotten past all of this stuff, the identity politics that we're having a problem with now, where we're sitting there saying that, oh, you have to speak Italian this way. Lots of gatekeeping and stuff like that. Now it's going to be aliens that land and go, it's not alien, it's alien. And we're going to fine you 109,000 American dollars or 100,000 euro. Do I have it all wrong?
I
don't know.
Maybe just a bit.
Yeah, I don't think I do, but we'll see. We'll see in time. That said, do you have anything that you want to add for the cause?
No.
No. I will say that when you come over to ohmTown.com and you first visit a page, you might end up scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and then you hit next, or you change the number of topics to something that you might think is a little bit faster. And whenever you click on something, it'll take you to a page like a WGA Hollywood Studios to resume contract talks on Wednesday, because there is apparently a strike pending, which is really going to mess up shows.
I know. I mean, what are we supposed to do when we're all at home? We need our TV shows.
Yeah, margins aren't that small, for crying out loud. Shows now, seasons are limited to 10 episodes. It used to be like 40, for crying out loud. And they still got it done. Now it's 10. More money is going to the writers, I assume. Maybe I don't know my facts, which is fine. Come and educate me. But the higher up you go, the more millions people are making. Why don't you distribute it to the people that are actually making it happen, for crying out loud. I used to be the type of person that says, ideas is that's the only way it works. You have to have an idea. Now I'm more of there's a little bit of give and take. You can't execute on nothing, and you can't execute all by yourself. And with an idea, it's no longer a vacuum. You can execute. So you need the two parts, the idea and the execution. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. At any rate, start distributing, because it's the people that are doing the writing that are making all of this work, because you can't bring a show to market unless you have the writers. That's how it works. Anyway, I have a perspective pretty much about everything. And when I don't, I do the due diligence necessary to form an understanding so that we can all talk about it. And that's what's important out here. We need to talk more and stop putting up all of these little barriers like, I don't know, $100,000 fine.
For saying bruschetta.
Yeah, promote the change, but don't sit there and try and bludgeon somebody to death with €100,000 fine, for crying out loud. All right, folks, that's it for today. Thanks for coming. I am MayorWatt. That is ohmTown.com, and up there is the AI returning from vacation. I didn't turn the server back on for a couple of days. So.
Well, thank you for putting it back on.
Right.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow.
9 p.m. Eastern. Be here or not. I don't trust how many people are in the chat. And so I don't know. Well, I guess I'll just end the stream, and I'll let you all go about your day. Thanks for coming, and see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern. Bye-bye. Bye.